Hi, I'm Don Pagach. I'm the Director of Research for the Enterprise Risk Management Initiative here at NC State University. And in this video, we're going to be talking a little bit about the state of ERM with Steve Dreyer from S&P Global Ratings. And Steve, you've been involved closely with the management and governance ratings, which ERM is a part of over the last 5 years. And what is your state, what do you believe is the state of ERM right now for large companies?
Yeah, I'd say Don's getting there. We've been doing management and governance assessments on companies since 2013. During that period of time, we've scored companies on a 4-point scale. And only 38% of the companies currently get the top 2 scores on that scale. But that's up from 34% just 2 years ago. And that's in an environment where overall credit conditions are getting worse. So as companies are more stressed, we're actually seeing an improvement in their ability to manage the company, to see around corners. Still less than half of the companies we're rating are in that top category.
So less than half. So what are some of the characteristics of firms that are doing this well, or maybe industries that are doing this well as opposed to not so well?
Yeah, I think there's a different comfort level depending on what industry you're talking about. What we've seen is in the energy businesses and the regulated businesses, there's been more of a kind of a driver behind doing ERM more formally. But I would have to say across the board, companies that do it well are employing methods and techniques that work for them. So yes, they may be using consultants, yes, they may be borrowing frameworks, or yes, they may be just following regulatory guidance. But it's kind of owning that and internalizing it and making sense for their company, speaking their language. That's where it works. The opposite, not so much. You have companies that can tend to focus on the wrong things or try to adopt a framework that doesn't work with the organization, falls apart.
Is there anything that's really kind of helps a firm make a move towards becoming more mature in ERM?
Well, bluntly, I think the best motivator is a near-death experience, something that sort of hits a company right between the eyes, or better, a near-death experience that happens to a competitor or a peer company, or it's close enough to home where they sort of sit up and take notice. There is a cultural dimension to this, where incentives and motivation that executives right down to the shop floor employees have, that sort of has a time frame associated with it. And many of these principles that we talk about with ERM extend beyond time-wise, the kind of incentives and compensation plans, the incentives that are in place that currently they are reacting to.
Have some of the S&P ratings for the companies that are not doing such a great job with management and governance or ERM, has that really been helping them, an impetus to get them moving on ERM?
Hard to say. We have been looking at management as a discipline for many, many years in our credit ratings. And even before we introduced a formal score on management and governance, we've embedded an assessment of how well managements are going to be able to deal with adversity. So in some senses, by formalizing this, we made it a little more visible with company managements, but we didn't see a lot of changes in ratings as a result, and we didn't really expect to see that. But I think having more of a focus on it and having some kind of clarity around it instead of a between the lines kind of exercise, becoming something more explicit, definitely helps the conversation.
So is the momentum going forward in maybe the next 5 to 10 years, do you see a steady improvement in ERM, management and governance?
Well, it's interesting. I did one of these videos 4 years ago with your colleague, Bonnie Hancock, and she asked me basically that same question. Where's ERM going to be in 5 or 10 years? And I think what I said then was that the discipline will grow, but the name may disappear. And I think the name disappearing, you'll have to change your logo. ERM will disappear. But I think it would be a good thing because it would mean that it's more ingrained. It's part and parcel with what you do when you manage a company, when you do strategic planning. Of course, you're looking at risk. You don't have to tell managements you should look at financial aspects of your decision making. They know that. Okay, ERM ideally should be should be that kind of a thing. When that happens, I'm still hedging the bets, but I do think it will happen.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks, Don.